So, I have a little experiential thing today. I want you to ask yourself, get really comfortable for a moment and tell yourself you're going to be really honest with yourself and really authentic and just, what follows for you naturally when I say, what if, what comes to mind for you about your life, for your life? What if, what comes? Where do you go? And I want to give you a moment to really think about this. What if? I've been asking some people this question. It's funny, right before I left the house, Scott DeTurk, who I've written a number of musicals with, is working on a new musical we're doing right now. And I said to him, would you just answer this question for me? I've asked a lot of people, but I hadn't asked you. What if? And he said, you know what? The first thing that comes to my mind is, what if I had listened to my parents and gone to engineering school? And he said, and the irony is that my parents were both musicians. But they did everything they could to make sure that I didn't follow in that footsteps because of what happened to them in the music industry. He said, but I still followed what I wanted to do. And he said, I always think to myself, what if I had gone to engineering school? And I happen to know all of that incredible music that he's written, all those great songs that he's written with me, would not have been written. You know, the score that he wrote to The Ghost of Mrs. Muir would not have happened. You know, the score that we both wrote for Dorian would not have happened. Yo-ho-ho, A Pirate's Christmas would not have happened. Oh my God. The world just could not exist without it. But it's an interesting thing. And then, of course, that question to him started this huge conversation. And it was funny because, you know, we have two children who both want to be actors. And I bite my tongue every time I think to say to them, oh, it's a difficult career. I don't. If that's theirs to do, it's theirs to do. And whatever's yours to do is yours to do. And who is anyone to say, this will be a better choice for you? It doesn't matter how logical it may seem. What's yours to do is yours to do. So what comes up for you? What if, one of the things my husband said was, what if I won the lottery? That was one of the first things he said. Actually, it wasn't the first thing he said, but I will tell you what the first thing he said was in a moment, once I get you ready for it. But he did, but he did say, what if I won the lottery? And you know, a lot of people think that. And it's this, what if I never had to think about money again for the rest of my life? What if I never had to think about money or supply again, ever? I just knew, is that good for you, Barbara Niles? Okay. I just knew that I never had to think about money again. It's just always available to me. Would you like that? Okay, so what if? What if that's the case? What if whatever I wanted, no matter what it was available to me and it was mine to have? What if no matter what I wanted, whatever I desired was mine? It was mine to have. Wouldn't that feel good? What if that were the case? What if that were the world we lived in? What if I was able to be happy no matter what went on in my life? What if no matter what came my way, I was able to see right through it and be happy? What if? What if I could stay young and healthy forever? I mean, clearly some of us can, but Jeannie Francis looks exactly the same way she did years ago, right? So what if I could stay young and healthy forever? How would that feel? Now let me tell you what Kevin said when I asked him first. I said, so Kevin, if I ask you, what if, what's the first thing? He says, the same thing that comes to me all the time. What if Al Gore had become president? Now first I said to him, I can't use that. I can't go political on this. But it brought up something really important to me. And it's the other side of this. You know, there's the what if, which is, you know, what if this could be, and what if this could be, and what if this could be. But then there's also the looking back and saying, what if that had happened instead? What if I had had that happen? I used to always think to myself, what if I had actually gotten the lead in on your toes? I'd have, I know, you know, that close. But I didn't. It wasn't mine to have. It was Lara Teeter's to have. I'm over it. But you ask yourself, what if that happened? What if, Jeannie Francis, what if you hadn't gotten Laura? What would your life have been like? You'd still be an actress. You are an actress. but you know what I mean? What if something that happened big in your life, or even something that didn't happen big in your life, what if that had happened when we go there? So we do the what if as something that could have happened differently in our lives. So I have a question for you today, always. Is there any area of your life where you wish things had happened or gone differently? Is there any part of your life that you wish you could relive, that you wish you could do over, that you wish you could do again? What ifs can expand our experience, but they can also limit our experience by holding us captive. So I'm interested today in looking at both of those. I'm interested in looking at the past. What ifs are still going on in my mind that hold me back? And what ifs are there because they're there to nurture me, to expand me? And when I look at the lyrics, Michael Gott's lyrics, one of the things that Paul's saying, burdened by my history, being burdened by my history, carrying my past around with me. Anybody here still carrying their past around with them? Drop off your luggage somewhere else. Really. This is the time to have your luggage lost. As you're traveling through life, and suddenly your luggage doesn't show up with you. It's like, oh look, my baggage is missing. That would work for me. Right? So, burdened by my history, carrying my past, what if I decided to let it go? What if today you could decide to let go of all the what-ifs from the past? Let go of all the baggage, all the things that didn't go the way you thought they should go, the way you wanted them to go. Because I got to tell you something. They went exactly as was best for you in that moment. Thank you. They did. They went exactly as they were best for you in that moment. I had a great experience this week. Suzanne Wishner asked me to come to her school and talk to her students in an all-boys Catholic high school. So there they were in their little suits, all dressed up, and I was to talk to them about West Side Story. And I have had a lot of what-ifs from the past that have haunted me at times. And not so many now, I hardly any, maybe none. Let's say none. And did you see that evolution? That's what we need to do with our minds. Bevel, foot, and all. We just need to go. So I'm in there, and it was, of course, they'd watched the movie West Side Story, in case any of you don't know, which is impossible. I did West Side Story on Broadway. So I played Riff. The leader of the Jets. Thank you. See, Paul, some people don't know that. Is there anybody here who didn't know that? Thank you. That was for you. So anyway, so they had watched the movie West Side Story, and my job was to go in and just talk to them about it and answer their questions. And it was fascinating because when I started, the questions weren't a-coming. They were just staring at me. And I'm sure they were like, who is he? And I have a T-shirt on and jeans, and they're all dressed up the way I used to be dressed up in these, constrictive suits. And I'm walking into a Catholic high school, and I broke out in shingles. And I'm looking at the statues looming down, and Jesus on the cross saying, I'm still here. And I was like, wow, this is like... So I got into the room, and they started to loosen up, and they started to ask me questions. And then the questions were just coming, left and right. And I was trying to get them to understand what it was like to play that role. A Catholic boy from, a wealthy neighborhood in Philadelphia, and then being a street person, trying to get them through the whole thing. And all of a sudden, now I played Riff in 1980. So that was 36 years ago. 36? 32. 32 years. Patrick, wherever that math class was, I'll be taking it. Right? So, and I started to, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the dialogue came up. And I'm like, you want to get even? Get cool. And I'm like, what are you doing? You want to go? Go cool. And I'm like, really, Jim? You're really going to go here? Because Jim did West Side Story. James is a minister. So So all of a sudden, I start singing. And I'm like, boy, boy, crazy boy. And I'm noticing that they're riveted. I'm like, now they're thinking, not only is he crazy, but we better not move. Because he may kill us. And I'm like walking around the classroom, get cool, boy. And I'm like, I haven't done this since 1980 on Broadway. Never. I've never wanted to revisit that song in my body. I had a ball. I had the greatest time. And then they started asking me about the tap dancing, and believe it or not, and Suzanne brought me a picture of her desk. I realized I didn't want to tap dance where they couldn't see my feet. So I cleared her desk and jumped on her desk. And I got on top of her desk and started tap dancing, and I'm like, who are you today? And the reason I'm telling you this story, why am I telling you this story? Because what if I had gotten on your toes? What if I had gotten to do Footloose instead of Kevin Bacon? What if all the things that I was that close to, what if I had gotten Blackie on General Hospital? Which I didn't, but I was down to the end. What if I'd have known you a long time ago? What if? You know what? There are no what ifs. Exactly what was meant to happen happened, because the trajectory from the last day of auditioning for On Your Toes to jumping on Suzanne Wishner's desk was a perfect trajectory. And who knows which of those boys in that room will grow up to be something because of that. So those of you that are still holding on to the what-ifs of your life, this science teaches us that nothing happens by accident. We do not live in a chaotic world. We live in a world of unity. We live in a perfect world of unity. And it is our use of mind that creates our experience. And once we get in line with what Patrick was talking about, that it is ours to be one with everything around us and know that we are part of a wheel that is constantly moving perfectly. There's nothing in my past. I can just let it go. What if I decide to let it go? Yesterday, Kevin and I were in Palm Springs. And we were there with John Livesey and Oscar, his husband. And we woke up. We'd gone to this great concert on Friday night from Amy Armstrong, the woman who sang God Bless the Child here. And when we woke up the next morning, the day was gorgeous. And we were just laying around listening to the birds. And it was just gorgeous in Palm Springs yesterday morning. And I was reading a W magazine. John is one of the salespeople for marketing of W magazine. In fact, he is the salesperson of the quarter, both domestically and internationally. So he didn't share that. Oscar shared it. And he's being brought to New York to meet with all the heads of W Magazine because they get it, that this man, John Livesey, who is one of us, knows how to use his mind and create incredible things. So he showed me this ad, and it was an ad for Lexus. And here was the quote. And I read it, and I went, oh my God, that is like the most incredible ad. And you went, it's mine. And it was. And here's the copy underneath a car, the Lexus. It says this: this is not just an invitation, it's a dare. Every week, I invite you to do something. I invite you to take a deep breath. I invite you to close your eyes. I invite you to come take class. I invite you to let God speak through you. Today, I want to dare you. I want to dare you to do all of that and more. I realized, I read that and I went, I have to stop inviting people. I need to dare them. And mostly I need to dare myself. Dare myself. Stop inviting myself so sweetly to all the lovely things life has to offer. And just dare myself to be who I am meant to be. Would you want to do that today? So that's up to you. That's not just up to me. That's up to you to look in the mirror every morning and dare yourself to get away from that mirror and go do something. Because I think we spend way too much time looking in the mirror. I know. And we need to turn away from that mirror and just go and do what it is we're here to do. God, I just sometimes get schizophrenic and tell you everything. It's just hysterical. So, I dare you today to let go of all the stuff from your past. What are you waiting for? Really, what am I waiting for? What are we waiting for? I dare you to let go of all your stuff from the past, all the what-ifs from the past, and just see what happens. I dare you to just see what happens if you let go of your history, if you let go of your story. How many of you still have a story? No hands. I love this. Okay. What are you daring me to let go of mine? I can. I can let go of mine. I think we all. Let's just dare ourselves to let go of our story. Michelle Roberts gave me a book. It's called The Exquisite Risk. The Exquisite Risk by Mark Nepo. And this is what he says in it. Is there more to this life than just hauling our history around? Isn't that a great question? Isn't there more to this life than just hauling our history around? More than just replaying our patterns? No, we just talked about habits a couple weeks ago. Isn't there more to our life than reliving all the what-ifs? And isn't there more than just reliving patterns thoughtlessly, automatically, by rote? Yes, there is. And then he says, ultimately, there is always the need to risk being new. Ultimately, there is always the need to risk being new. So I dare you today to be new. I dare you to leave here. I dare you to leave here as the same person who came here and see what happens, which might be fabulous. But I dare you. I dare you to leave here as someone new. I dare you to live in thoughts that maybe you don't think are yours. I dare you to think differently about something. I dare you to stop thinking what you always thought about the same thing. I dare you. I double dare you. I triple dog dare you. There you go. I dare me to get a desk in here someday and jump on it. Wouldn't that be fun? And then I'll make Bob Morrissey get up here with me and tap dance. So this week, Patrick said it, this class that I'm teaching, this class that is intuiting itself through me, because you know what, I do not have a grandiose idea that I am this brilliant teacher. I do have this truth and this understanding that I step out of the way and let God do what it needs to do through me. That I'm getting better and better and better and better at. I'm getting better at letting James Mellon take a break and letting God show me how much bigger life can be. So this Wednesday, when the class was evolving all around me, just a lot goes on in my mind about what I've taught, what I'm teaching, and what teaching is coming through. And one of the things I got was this concept of going to the edge, and I tweeted it and put it on my Facebook page. And it was this. I wrote, how can I see the horizon if I'm not willing to go to the edge? How am I going to ever really, really step into the bigness of who I am if I'm not willing to go right to the edge and dare to stand there and say, whatever? That's how the kids do it. They're very economical with their words. How dare I not step to this edge? So that's a question for you too. Are you willing to go to the edge? Are you willing to really step to the edge? And I'm not talking about dangerously stepping to the edge. I'm talking about fearlessly stepping to the edge, knowing that you are always, always held in the hands of God. What if all of us are being called to dare to be more? Because I think we are. Oprah Winfrey wrote this, devote today to something so daring, even you can't believe you're doing it. So could you think about that today? Could you devote today to doing something so daring that even you couldn't think about doing it? For me, that says something. I'm like, what could I possibly do today that is so daring I've never thought about doing it before? You know what? And it doesn't have to be riding a motorcycle down the wall of the Grand Canyon. It doesn't have to be something like that, because it can be something spiritual. It can be something intellectual. It can be daring yourself not to, as it says in the song, say bad things to yourself. I love the lyric, and I've used this many times myself. I wouldn't let anyone say the things that I say to myself. It could be so daring as to think another thought. Actually, you know what the most daring thing is that you could do today? Really think of yourself as God. Everywhere you go, in every situation, dare yourself to be God in that instance and not settle for anything less. That's daring. We have a daredevil among us. Her name is Rita Andriello, Reverend Rita Andriello. And she, says her husband, yeah. Okay. I have the pleasure of having Reverend Rita around me all the time in the offices. And this is a woman who is so fearless, takes so many risks, so many chances. She just goes where nobody's gone before. This week, I was coming into the building and she was leaving. She said, someone is passing away. I need to drive to them and be there to help facilitate this. And she was like, is that okay? I was like, yeah. And Alex Robert Holmes was with her. And the two of them looked like they were just so excited. And I said, have either of you done this before? And they said, no. And I said, okay, well, this will be a wonderful experience for you. So they left. And when she came back, she was just so full of life, so full of the joy of what this means to step out where you've never gone before and just stare it in the face. And she said to me at one point, she said, do you want me to call Reverend Terry Taylor because that's what he does? Do you want me to call Terry Taylor and it's because he does this? I went, no, I don't. I want you to do it because it's yours to do, even though you've never done it before. So, this is a quote from Reverend Rita. She has a blog every morning. I read it every morning. She is my morning ministress. Not mistress, my morning ministress. Just to be clear. Oh. So here's what she says. She wrote this. Unless we can come to the understanding that we are one with everything, and that nothing is outside of ourselves, we will forever remain small thinkers. Unless we can come to the understanding that we are one with everything and that nothing is outside of ourselves, we will forever remain small thinkers. And she was referring to going out back last night to look at the moon, because it was the largest it will ever be this year in the sky. And she wrote, when we look at the moon, we are stepping inside an aspect of ourselves. We are just as grand as the stars, the planets, the oceans that roar, and the moon, because all are made of the same stuff. And she said, as Emerson wrote, we live in a world of parallels. As above, so below, and so it goes. That was from Reverend Rita this morning. To me, that's daring. If you dare to think this way, if you dare to hold yourself to an example of thinking this way, so that you don't just suddenly find yourself dishing. You don't suddenly find yourself judging. You don't suddenly find yourself reminiscing about all the crappy things that have happened in your life. Because that's not appropriate. Not for God. Not as God. So that's the dare today. Ernest Holmes said this. The proposition with most of us is that our power of attraction is too weak. The proposition with most of us is that our power of attraction is too weak. We attract what we are equal to. So, if I risk to dare to attract from a mind that knows only God, that knows only that where I am is perfect, that there were no mistakes, there are no mistakes, there never will be any mistakes. How about living that life? Let's say that. There were no mistakes, there are no mistakes, there will never be any mistakes. Let's say that one more time. There were no mistakes, there are no mistakes, there will never be any mistakes. Can you live that? And the rest of you? That's a dare. That is a spiritual dare. I can no longer complain about things that didn't happen. I can no longer complain about the me that never evolved. I can no longer complain about my not getting on your toes. I would have won the Tony. And that is such truth. No, that is, it's just thinking that doesn't take you anywhere. It just is. You know that you are the exact person sitting here today that is here to hear this. And I am the exact person standing here today that is meant to not only say this, but hear this and live this. We are not here by accident. The universe doesn't work that way. We are here on purpose. Now it's our job to live purposeful lives. So, if I risk and I dare to use my mind in such a way that all it will ever attract is my God self, then guess what I attract? I attract the excitement of that dare. I attract the passion of that dare. I attract the opulence of that dare. If my mind becomes a daring mind that dares to know the truth at all times, then I attract the mental equivalent of that dare. And everything comes into perfect play. Raymond Hollowell, whose book I'm working with, he wrote Working with the Law. The first sentence in the chapter on the law of supply is this, and I loved it. Man is never satisfied. That's how he starts the chapter. Man is never satisfied. But the next sentence says it all. God didn't intend that man should forever be satisfied. Now think about that. Man is never satisfied. I grew up with a mother that used to say to me, "You're never satisfied." I know she didn't mean this. And yet now I'm really understanding how spiritual and metaphysical that woman was. Man is never satisfied. God did not intend that man should be forever satisfied, because he goes on to say the law of his being is perpetual increase, progress, growth. Why on earth should man be born to be satisfied when every single moment is better than the moment before it? When in every single moment we have the opportunity to know more, to be more, to express more, to learn more, to understand more. And the next moment after that will be even bigger. And the next moment after that, and the moment after that. That's what divine evolution is. Emergent evolution. Everything that needs to emerge does. I don't have to make it emerge. It just does. My job is to be there and pay attention. That's it. We are just here to be spiritual attention payers. That's it. And if I'm willing to be present and pay attention, and if I really get on top of this understanding of what if, because it really is a beautiful place to come from, the forward momentum of the what if. And I don't even have to know what if I ba 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 ba. It's just what if, because guess what? It is. And as Patrick said, I am is a complete sentence. And what if I put those together? What if I am? I just thought of that. Oh my God. What if I am? Well, if I am, then... Right? That's it. Helen Keller wrote, life is either a daring adventure or nothing. Think about that. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. So, what's it going to be for you? That's your choice. Daring adventure or nothing. Every what if has a story, and it is trying to tell itself through you. Every what if is looking to be answered. So the question today is, what story are you daring to tell? What if? Fill in the blank. That's how we can leave here today. What if I go to the edge of this stage and I can see the horizon, and I'm not trying to reach the horizon, I'm willing to live the in-between perfectly, presently, from the place of what if, ... Namaste.